Where are you located?
I'm in Querétaro, Mexico. I
Okay.
don't know if you heard about it.
Where we're at, is it geographically in Mexico? North,
It's
south?
it's in the center. It's two
Okay.
hours away from Mexico City, actually.
Okay. Excellent. Well, I'm in Kansas City, Missouri.
Ah, okay, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Center of the map. Well, it's great
Yeah,
to meet you. And there's a lot going on with you as a copywriter, blogger, podcaster,
yeah.
lover of stories. So before we get into those passions, I want to know, how did you survive the last 3.5 years? How did you get through the pandemic and how did it change you?
Okay, well, it was such a time. I was working with an agency. Thank God it was a digital agency, so it was really easy to make the transition work remotely. Um, since then, I've been working like that remotely with my team. Some of my team is in Mexico City, in Colombia. It was hard, especially in the Christmas Eve and those kind of festivities that
Yeah.
we weren't able to be with the family and everything. Um, I live with my sister, so that's a good point that I wasn't alone
Yeah.
in the house. So I have someone to talk about it and to hang with. Um, and well, thanks to the pandemic, I had the idea of starting the podcast
Yeah.
and to start sharing this love of the stories and how they are important. And especially in that time, I think all stories, books, series, movies were part of our story, of history, because it was a way we could like forget about what's happening, at least for a little while.
Yeah, for sure. So let's get to the essence of what you do for a living. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders and it's career day. And one of the kids asks you, what do you do for a living? How would you answer them?
Okay, what I do for a living is I'm a copywriter. So I write basically all the stories about the company. I'm working with an agency, a marketing agency, and for example, I'm the person in charge of writing all the website story of the companies I work for. That in this case is called Grupo Tracción. That is one of the biggest logistics name here in Mexico. So basically, I write uh, what they want to communicate in their website, landing pages. Um, I make also the scripts for the videos that they made for social media. So I'm a little bit with all this theme of the stories,
Yeah,
because also they had to share their stories.
sure. So what did you want to be in the third grade? What was your dream to grow up and become?
Uh, I wanted to be part of FIFA's international relationship office. That was my dream.
Yeah.
Um, Basically, I study international relationships, and my goal was to be part of that office and to make that click that also there's this social part in sports. But life took its way, and I ended up in marketing.
So talk to me a little bit about where you were born and raised and how you did get into marketing and copywriting. How did all that happen?
Okay, well, I was born in Mexico City, but because of some health problems of my sister, my parents decided to leave the city, and I was raised in Querétaro. That is the fifth or sixth biggest city here in Mexico. Um, I studied international relationships because I love history and I love this part of the social matter of in sports. But I did my social service in the communication area of migration. So that start this like turn of way, and I start to making and knowing more about marketing, about communications, and I love that part of communicating something that could help people, whatever it is, if it's social in sports or, for example, resolving a problem. And I love that part. So I started to work in marketing.
So, who's been a hero for you in your life?
A hero in my life, well, in like in a personal way, my dad. But if I have to choose something like famous or um, more in that area, well, I love Neil Gaiman.
Okay.
He's a writer,
Yeah.
and I love the way he sees the world. Um, and I think he's someone that has an impact on me,
Yeah.
especially because of his stories.
So, who would be a dream guest to have on your podcast?
Neil Gaiman
I
and
had a feeling.
yes, Neil, Neil Gaiman and Peter Yes, I think it will be great to talk with them.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. What is your motivation every day? What motivates you to do your podcast, to do your job, to market the best you can? What is that every day that gets you out of bed and motivates you?
Help even one people. That it motivates me to write the stories I write for my client, of this part to share how someone can resolve a problem, in this case logistics. And for example, in the podcast and the blog, it's to share this this meaning behind stories, and that if someone can pick a book because what I wrote or what I said in the podcast about, for example, Nick Gaiman, that's my motivation. That someone out there hears the podcast or read the blog and said, "Oh, I want to read that. I want to continue to look for this kind of stories." That's what motivates me.
So what's been one of your best client success stories?
Um, that's a good question because I have few. One of the ones I'm most proud of it's called Ubits. It's an e-learning site.
Yeah.
They're from Colombia, and there I was able to help to translate in a way what they wanted to do, and they were really close to the Colombian way of seeing, but they wanted to grow it to Latin America and to Spain. So they needed that the Spanish version was more neutral, so that could make SEO in all Latin America, and that the communication was able to be understood by Mexican or Colombian person, because even though we talk in Spanish, sometimes there are words that they use that maybe we don't use. So the the purpose of that project was to make it neutral, and I think with the team I was working with, we did it. It was made in 3 months. That it was a really short time, but we did it. It was a great. It had a great impact. We didn't lose any kind of transit to the website when we did the change. So I think that was one of the most successful. And right now, Traction is also making some progress there. So
Right on. So what do you like the best about living in Mexico?
Oh, a lot of things. The food is great.
Yeah, I bet.
The the weather, it's really amazing. And I think I was just a few weeks ago in London, and something I missed was that here in Mexico we have like a really balanced day and night. And I miss that because here in Mexico, especially where I am in the center, uh, begins like at 7 o'clock, and in London was 4 o'clock, and it was
Yeah,
dark. So I think also that's a really big thing we have here,
yeah,
that balance of day and night.
yeah. That sounds like it. So of all of the things that you've done in your life so far, what are you the proudest of?
My blog, I think. um, because I never thought it would be as big as is now. Um, and seeing the numbers, seeing that the people, it's like reading the notes, that makes me really proud, and that makes me the motivation, sorry, for continue to doing it. So I think that's one of the things I'm most proud of.
So let's say you have a dream tonight and you run into the version of you that's in high school, and you could give your young version a piece of advice based on the wisdom you've gained in your life up to this point. What advice would you give your younger self?
Um, don't give up,
Yeah.
even if it's really challenging. If you see that it's hard, don't give up. If especially because you have this passion of the stories and you want to communicate that to other people. Yes, you will see that maybe in the first months, probably years, it will be hard. At the end, you will see the value of what you're doing. So continue and don't regret the mistakes you had made, because that makes you who you are.
So everyone out there has an idea of who they think you are, your family, your friends, your clients, but you ultimately are the one that's living your life.
Exactly.
What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I think I'm a strong person, a really loyal friend and sister. Um, yes, sometimes I have a bad character, but I think mostly of all I'm brave, I'm strong, and I like to be there for people I love.
So as a writer, what's your favorite book?
My favorite book is Stardust from Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
That's one of it. And for Tarjas, it's um, United States of Japan.
Okay. Cool. Very cool. So if anyone wants to check out your writing, your blog, your podcast, learn more about you, reach out, how can they do that?
Well, they can enter to my impression of .com .mx. That's the blog, and you can find me in any social media as my impression of. And well, there can know about a lot of me, and also about what I write and the podcast, especially in Instagram. My impression of there's all the information about the two projects, the podcast and the blog.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your story. Thank you for your time and best of luck with everything.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Great to meet you.